Okay. Recording. The first checklist. And in that checklist, the first thing it tells you to do is called writing a paraphrase. So you have to read the poem closely, which means more than once, which means out loud. So I'm going to read it out loud. And this is called Power by Corinne Hayes. No one we knew had ever stopped a train. Hardly daring to breathe, I waited, belly down with my brother, in a dry ditch, watching through the green thickness of grass and willows. Stuffed with crumpled newspapers, the shirt and pants looked real enough stretched out across the rails. I felt my heart beating against the ground, and the terrible long screech of the train's braking began. We had done it. Then it was in front of us. 100 iron wheels tearing like time into real flannel and denim, shredding the child we had made until it finally stopped. My brother jabbed me, pointed down the tracks. A man had climbed out of the engine, was running in our direction, waving his arms, screaming he would kill us, whoever we were. Then, very close to the spot where we hid, he stomped and cursed at the rags and papers scattered over the gravel from our joke. I tried to remember which one of us that red shirt belonged to, but morning seemed too long ago, and the man was falling, sobbing to his knees. I couldn't stop watching. My brother lay next to me, his hands covering his ears, his face pressed tight to the ground. Very powerful story. And I read it out loud, paying very close attention to the punctuation marks. Period being a full stop and a new breath, comma being a slight pause, the dash being a slightly longer pause, but not much. In the checklist, it asks you to go through it line by line, and you're not supposed to skip any lines or stanzas, but put it in your own words. What does each line say? So, you can add like these lines right here. You can try to put it all together in one sentence, but I'll just do this quickly here. No one we knew had ever stopped a train. Well, none of us stopped a train. We were waiting, holding our breath, belly down in a ditch, my brother and I. We were watching through the grass and willows that were in front of us. And we had stuffed a shirt and pants with some crumpled newspapers and stretched it out across the rails. It made it look pretty real. My heart was beating really hard against the ground where I was laying down, and all of a sudden there was a terrible screech as the train braked. Yeah, they had done it. They had finally stopped the train. Then it rolled in front of us, and it had 100. All of its wheels were screeching, tearing into the air, and tearing into the real flannel and denim, shredding up the little child. It was children's clothing we had gotten. It finally stopped. My brother pointed, and there was a man that climbed out of the engine and was walking in our direction, screaming and yelling and waving his arms, I'll kill you, whoever you are. And then when he got very close to where we were laying down, he cursed and saw that it was just rags and papers scattered all over, just a joke. And while this is all happening, I'm thinking, I forgot whose red shirt belonged to who. Mine or my brother's? And so it just, remembering this, it just seems like a long time ago. Man, falling, crying on his knees. I couldn't stop watching him. And my brother, who's laying next to me, tried hard not to listen to his screams and crying. And he covered his ears with his hands and tried to press his eyes into the ground. So that's a very informal kind of paraphrase. It's not, your poem might be a lot harder to paraphrase. You just do the best job you can. This is how you do poetry. It's meant to be slow work. So write your paraphrase down, and that's what you'll turn in when I have the assignment up on for this week. And it won't be due until Sunday, so you got plenty of time. Just tell me what you think it means. Actually write down what it says, what you think it says, and then write down, I think this poem means this, or for me, this poem did this. Then when you're done with that, when you've written it down, you've written the paraphrase down, you've written down what you think the meaning is, then you reread the statement to see if you've missed anything important. And then you write down, I missed this in the first reading. And that's it. That's what a paraphrase is. It's just a restatement in your own words of what you understand the poem to say or suggest. It's similar to a summary, although not as brief or as simple. Paraphrases are oftentimes as long or maybe even a little bit longer than the original. Okay, when you've done that, you have completed the checklist, and there will be a place for you to turn that in for your poem. Power is my poem. You will choose your own poem. All right, folks. This screencast is in lieu of our Zoom session today, and we'll talk some more on Friday. We'll have a Zoom session on Friday. Take care.